Hi, welcome back, everyone. This is your friend Greedy Fanfics, bringing you another fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the second part of What If Deku Had a One for All Quirk. All credit for this story goes to Dark Puppy Memes, so please support them by checking out the link in the description for more details. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Now, let's get into the fanfic. 9 p.m. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ was very uneasy about being in this haunted forest hunt, where you have to scare other people. ᴘᴘ smelled the scent of smoke and alcohol, and he turned around and realized that he was completely alone. A purple mist portal opened up right in front of ᴘᴘ, and ᴘᴅᴛᴏ-ᴅᴛᴇ emerged from the portal. ᴘᴘ twitched his dog ears nervously and snarled angrily at the villain with his hand mask and other shit. ᴑᴅᴛᴏ, the League of Villains warper, created a different portal and entered it. Now, it was ᴘᴘ and ᴘᴅᴛᴏ alone. ᴘᴅᴛᴏ spoke with a tired but almost friendly voice towards ᴘᴘ. You and I are very similar, we both hate people. Why should you have to embrace humanity, or society's version of humanity, in order to successfully fit in Hayasha? Like, if you want, you can do all the cannibalism bullshit you desire, go absolutely apeshit, and be free from such things as humanity. Like, you're not even human most of the time, but in a 괱ᴜ form that's immune to transformation straining Hayasha. The League of Villains would never force you to be human like the pathetic heroes in society want you to be Hayasha. ᴘᴘ turned into his loathsome true human form and made that even more loathsome, fire mask, but with blue flames like his own dipshit father, and told ᴘᴅᴛᴏ while projecting this shit to Katsuki Bakugo and only him. The only person that can dehumanize me is myself, ᴘᴅᴛᴏ. I absolutely hate my dipshit father, but here's the good thing that I inherited, his ability to endure. That came from my humanity. The humanity of my powers and 괳ᴜ form came from ᴜᴜ Todoroki aka Endeavor. Now I will destroy you like a man. ᴘᴘ pulled all the stops, using every single move from Endeavor Fuckwad's arsenal like the laser fingers and prominence burn. ᴘᴘ's human ears nervously twitched as ᴘᴅᴛᴏ was very pissed off. ᴘᴅᴛᴏ and ᴘᴘ fought against each other violently. ᴘᴘ could hear other people's battles in the forest, but ᴘᴘ could only focus on one thing. Kill ᴘᴅᴛᴏ. Suddenly a beautiful daikatana sword made of a 괱ᴜ Quirk welder's fawn with a dark blue furred ᴛᴏ-like pommel and a red handle flew into ᴘᴘ's hand, and he felt his brain being bombarded with brand new power, as his flames became white effortlessly instead of regular blue. ᴘᴘ felt his eyes burn with his fire mask, as he felt a familiar weight of long hair that went down to his waist, and his human ears became sharpened. ᴘᴅᴛᴏ fled in terror as ᴑᴅᴛᴏ warped ᴘᴅᴛᴏ to safety just as ᴘᴘ swung his ᴂᴇʟ to create a wave of wind that was acidic that melted everything in front of ᴘᴘ. ᴘᴘ felt his new sword fly out of his clawed hands as he collapsed on the ground in his loathsome true human form that now has waist-long red hair and elfin ears. What was that power? Was that from ᴂᴇʟ? ᴘᴘ was slowly losing his ability to stay awake as he saw a blurry image of a man who was wearing some bizarre mask and a top hat walking towards ᴘᴘ. ᴘᴘ felt his fire mask die down and disappear as the man chuckled in joy. ᴘᴘ suddenly heard the howling of giant dog 괱ᴜ that startled the man beside him. ᴘᴘ felt his eyes close just as he saw two blurry 괱ᴜ Quirk welders in their humanoid 괱ᴜ forms fighting against this man with the top hat and mask. Kesuke POV. A beautiful Daihanyo. Daihanyo are stupidly powerful and rare, it's not even funny. Like, a Daihanyo can turn into a full 괱ᴜ of whatever species the Hanyo was born from, in Hayasha's case, a full dog 괱ᴜ. Or a full human. However, this full dog 괱ᴜ transformation seems to be locked away, along with the ability to hold ᴂᴇʟ for long periods for some reason. Why did ᴂᴇʟ come to Hayasha now? Was it because of threat of permanent injury? Kesuke-ᴛᴏ aka Inu no Senso and Ichihai aka Inu no Shimo fended off the strange human man with a compressor quirk. Kesuke told Inu no Shimo, "Get our brother out of here. I will continue the fight, Just get Hayasha to safety immediately. ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴛᴏ immediately grabbed Hayasha, who was unconscious, clearly, and flew away from the battlefield. ᴄᴏ aka ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ continued fighting against some thugs and some kind of monsters called Nomu. Himiko POV. Himiko Hachibi didn't care about hiding herself anymore. Himiko immediately crushed some thugs brutally with her disguised non-human dog 괱ᴟ form that's immune to transformation straining and ate them as the rest of the thugs fled in terror, but Himiko chased them all down and ate them while saying, "Only I can make Hato-kun and my other friends bleed. That's how I show affection, but you fuckwads can't do that shit." Himiko felt two people land on her back, and it was Tsuyu-chan and Ochako-chan, and Ochako-chan said, "Himiko Hachibi, let's go fight against other people. But let's lower the cannibalism just a little bit, okay, Himiko Hachibi." Himiko and her friends ran through the woods to fight against the League of Villains. Tuya POV. Tuya Todoroki aka Ichihai/ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ was crying for the first time in years as he was holding his unconscious half-brother Hato in his true human form that, due to anime-like transformation, became different from Endeavor fuckwad clone but with claws and fangs. Long waist, long red hair, clawed hands, elongated fangs instead of regular canine teeth, elfin ears, and turquoise blue inoirasumi markings that looked like eyeshadow on Hato's closed eyelids. What was that transformation? Another Quirk awakening? Tuya carried Hato to Eraserhead and told him exactly what the fuck was going on, the anime-like transformation of his half-brother Hato, and the power of Bikasega almost killing Tamura Shigaraki. Eraserhead and other pro-heroes gathered up Hato, and they carried him to safety. Tuya was told to stand guard while Vlad King and Eraserhead started fighting. Tuya was protecting the Class 1.A and Class 1.B kids that were out of the woods and out of danger. Izuku POV. Izuku Midoriya aka Deku was grunting in pain as he shattered his arms again to stop this dude named Muscular and saving Koda from danger. Izuku fought to stay conscious, and he saw a wild pussycat immediately bind up Muscular and rescue Koda and Izuku himself. Izuku's arms were put in large splints to stabilize them. Izuku told the pro-hero that Kaken and Nenshoku was being targeted by the League of Villains. Izuku managed to make his way to his friends. Katsuki POV. Damn dog Hanayo dumbass. The only person that can dehumanize me is myself, Tamura Shigaraki. I absolutely hate my dipshit father, but here's the good thing that I inherited, his ability to endure. That came from my humanity. The humanity of my powers and dog 괱ᴟ Hanayo form came from Yen-ji Todoroki aka Endeavor. Now I will destroy you like a man. Thank fucking God for this sliver of emergency character development. Because due to this badass declaration, Dog Hanayo dumbass got a cool sword that flew away again after he backslid into his self-hatred and self-loathing bullshit. It was fucking scary to see Mr. Compress, almost kidnap Dog Hanayo dumbass. Right before Stone Dog dumbass and Frost Flame dumbass stopped that bullshit. Then Katsuki heard a telepath message telling him that the League of Villains is after him. Katsuki's brain was going 1,000,000 miles a second as he looked around as his classmates, including Deku, were talking shit. Icy Hot looked so worried whenever he heard that Dog Hanayo dumbass was being targeted too. Bloody Princess Badass was furious whenever she saw Deku hurt. Katsuki told these people that he wasn't defenseless. Little did Katsuki know at the time, he had sealed his own fate right then and there. Hato Nensho slowly woke up in a hospital bed right beside Izuku Midoriya, who was where Kaken was. Hato contacted Katsuki Bakugo via telepathic communication powers. Katsuki Bakugo, it's me, are you alright? Katsuki Bakugo spoke with a uncharacteristically soft and terrified voice in his mind. No, I'm kidnapped by these maniacs, I dash. Hato felt his telepath connection cut off by force. Suddenly a bone-chilling and powerful man's voice spoke telepathically towards Hato. Now there's no need for that nonsense, Hato Nensho aka Hayasha. If you try to get Katsuki Bakugo, I will personally kill all of your friends and family without remorse while letting you live. But tell me, why is your Hayasha quirk so fantastic and amazing? Like short while ago, after your quirk awakening, I tried to steal it but I was absolutely unable to. Are you like one for all? Are you like the ninth? What are you, Hayasha? Ḥeito spoke telepathically towards this man in a stern voice. There's a lot of things that you can't avoid all for one. Prophecies are something powerful, aren't they? I will get stronger to help Izuku Midoriya stop you once and for all. I know the doom of All Might and how close he was to losing all of his powers. Next, it's your turn is what All Might will say. All for one left Ḥeito's mind completely. Izuku POV. Kaken is kidnapped. Izuku had to fucking save him. Nensho-kun spoke out loud. I know how weak All Might is, Izuku Midoriya. However, to prevent a monster from killing everyone I care about, I can help you despite the incredible pain in my heart. This is why I hate humans. They never fight fairly. However, you will succeed without me, Izuku Midoriya. After Katsuki Bakugo is rescued, I have a gift for you, something that you always wanted but never had. Nensho-kun squinted like he was concentrating really hard, and Izuku heard a muffled, glass-shattering noise. For some reason, Nensho-kun's eyes widened in alarm and he told everyone. I just severed the surveillance/telepath powers of a fucking supervillain in myself and someone else so that man can't spy on people through my eyes and ears. However, I learned who the traitor is, but they were a good person. Nensho-kun added with a rough voice. Once a surveillance quirk's bullcrap is forcibly cut, the person can't reconnect the surveillance crap ever. So yeah, that villain can't use me or his unwilling lapdog to spy on people ever again. Nensho-kun sighed awkwardly as he looked at Yuga Aoyama sitting on the chair nearby, and Nensho-kun turned into his Hayasha/dog Deyokai Hanyo form that's immune to transformation straining. Yuga POV. Ḥeito Nensho spoke telepathically towards Yuga. Yuga Aoyama, I will give you new strength that no one can take away from you. A artificial quirk that matches your mind, body and soul permanently. However, your incompatible naval laser quirk has to be removed immediately because it's rigged to destroy you slowly. I have a friend that can assist me, but this would be a quirk awakening in the legal sense. You need to come with me immediately, Yuga Aoyama, because the more time that passed, the longer you can't use the excuse of Beast Forest Tramua to justify your new powers. Ḥeito Nensho slowly got up from his hospital bed and walked to Yuga, and he grabbed Yuga's wrist, and they warped away in a portal made of smoke. Yuga was suddenly in a big room with a bunch of art stuff everywhere, and a frizzy red-haired girl with red eyes was painting something, but she stopped and walked over to Yuga Aoyama. Ḥeito Nensho told this girl. Renkin, please help me. You have surgical shit and skills to remove the naval laser quirk. The girl named Renkin spoke with a friendly voice towards Yuga Aoyama while interrupting Ḥeito Nensho. Naval laser, the quirk has no allegiance to that man. Like, all that's needed is a artificial quirk to merge with naval laser, the quirk to make something new, Yuga Aoyama. Something that can't ever be stolen from you, matches your mind, body and soul permanently and will not hurt you to use. However, the girl warned. However, Yuga Aoyama, I must warn you, quirk instincts are alien to you and your mind will be overwhelmed by the instincts, and you will be quirk maddened soon. This quirk madness in this new quirk will be so therapeutic for you, Yuga Aoyama. Change your quirk name now. Yuga gulped nervously and told this girl. Laser Force, the quirk, that's my new quirk name, Renkin. I promise I'll keep my mouth shut about this artificial quirk creation knowledge, because the last thing we need is some villainous dipshit to find this out. Yuga's hair was plucked out of his head and mixed with some medicine to make some glowing neon green medicine in a syringe. Yuga Aoyama felt this medicine being injected into his arm, and he immediately felt the burning sensation in his guts fade away as he felt new power. Yuga took off his support belt, and he didn't fry anything as he saw his laser force quirk heal his guts from burns and other stuff clearly. Wow! Yuga suddenly felt awareness of his new powers. 1. Major enhancement of the laser quirk abilities in heat, range, and brightness. 2. Lasers can now be shot out of the fingers, hands, mouth, and feet as well as the navel. 3. A beautiful wolfdog Deyokai Hanyo form that's immune to transformation straining, because Yuga wanted to be a cool Hanyo quirk welder kid, after Ḥeito Nensho became a student in Yuga's class. 4. telepath powers and telekinetic powers that can lift cars with the mind. 5. Supersonic flight and running. 6. Lightning bolt generation/manipulation, to a lesser degree to Denki Kaminari. 7. Warping quirk powers. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ and ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ warped away to the hospital where they were before they left to meet Rankin. Aizawa-sensei asked ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ and ᴅᴇ where the fuck they went. ᴅᴇ spoke with a somber voice towards everyone. I don't need this anymore. ᴅᴇ placed his support belt in front of Aizawa-sensei on an empty bed. Immediately, Aizawa-sensei hugged ᴅᴇ and ᴅᴇ started crying. Aizawa POV. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ spoke towards Aizawa and everyone else. I had to take ᴅᴇᴜᴟ away for a bit so the explosion wouldn't kill people. Violent quirk slips can happen during ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ. I'm sorry that I didn't think to bring you Aizawa, sir. I had to act fast whenever I smelled danger. Aizawa was still comforting ᴅᴇᴜᴟ, who was bawling his eyes out. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ spoke with a heartbroken and frail voice towards Aizawa. Please don't let me become quirk maddened by my laser force quirk. I don't want to be sick there. I need help. Several other students started crying, but ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ looked so angry, like he heard some bad news but he couldn't do anything about it. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ spoke towards Shudo Todoroki in a bitter voice. Whenever I was fighting against Tamura Shigaraki, I said some bullshit that I bitterly hate, because I slipped into hypocrite bullshit like most humans say about their views all the time. For a brief moment I actually loved our father, something that I didn't do since I was a little pup before I manifested my Hayasha quirk. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ spoke with a more humble and uncharacteristically soft voice towards everyone else. I have been trying to contact Katsuki Bakugo with my powers but I'm unable. However, I do smell the mental signal of Katsuki Bakugo, so he's most definitely alive for now. I can't help anymore though without risking my family's lives. Aizawa let ᴅᴇᴜᴟ go and told ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. Let the pro-heroes and heroines find and rescue Katsuki Bakugo. No doubt that this bullshit would have a quirk awakening in Katsuki Bakugo if ᴅᴇᴜᴟ had a quirk awakening from surviving a ordeal like the Beast Forest incident. Do you know anything about this stuff from your prophecy quirk welder friend ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ? ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ spoke with a respectful and rough voice towards Aizawa. Aizawa, sir, I don't know everything that my friend knows about the future. Like you know how mysterious prophecy quirk welders are, sir. Certain things they can't reveal prematurely. Aizawa nodded in agreement. ᴅᴇ POV. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ was crying in a chair in the hospital. New powers that can't be stolen or hurt ᴅᴇ, but he would be unable to control his own quirk's bullcrap because there's quirk instincts that he never had until now. A Hanayo quirk madness is slightly delusional, if ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ's Hayasha quirk madness was any indication of a regular Hanayo quirk madness. Delusional into believing you're born a genuine wolf dog de yokai Hanayo with a quirk that's very, 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 very wolf dog de yokai blood thick, something that didn't exist. However, it would be most definitely awkward as fuck to go through quirk counseling sessions as a fucking teenager with a bunch of toddlers and kindergartners. ᴅᴇ continued crying. 3 a.m. So a week has passed since the Beast Forest incident. Katsuki Bakugo got rescued. All for One got defeated. But most importantly and tragically, All Might retired from heroics, because he didn't have any power left. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ was trying to figure out how to satisfy his new quirk instincts in a discreet manner, but apparently every single teacher noticed something was off, and they kept giving ᴅᴇ advice about quirk instincts over the past week. Aizawa-sensei kept telling ᴅᴇ over the past week, listen, you're overcompensating, just try to relax and be yourself because your AOMMI instinctive personality and level of thinking kid clearly in a broken and overpowered light/laser/wolfdog de yokai hanayo/warping/telepath/lightning/speedster quirk welder boy in your laser force quirk ᴅᴇᴜᴟ. What the fuck does that mean? Be yourself? Like ᴅᴇ liked shining things and other glittering shit for years, but he felt compelled to be shiny nowadays. ᴅᴇ turned into his wolf dog de yokai hanayo form for the first time. ᴅᴇ saw his reflection in his room. Shaggy gold hair that went down to the waist, clawed hands, elongated fangs, elfin ears, a small sky blue ᴛᴏ that wrapped around his left shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him to his knees, really beautiful yellow eyes like a wolf, and a gold wolf tail that went down to his ankles. ᴅᴇᴟᴟ warped away after putting on red robes of the fire rat that ᴰᴘ-ᴛᴏ gave ᴅᴇ to blend in, whatever that means. ᴅᴇ was now in the deep woods and mountains while being barefoot as he smelled all kinds of neat stuff in the air. ᴅᴇ, however, then saw a beautiful city in the mountains that was concealed by a powerful barrier. ᴅᴇ flew into the cool city that looked like Edo period Japan but with modern touches like skyscrapers. ᴅᴇ saw a bunch of people with yokai quirks or heteromorphic animal quirks walking around the city in the mountains. Several people smiled warmly and complimented ᴅᴇ's yellow eyes and his wolf dog 괰ᴄᴟ form like it was more significant than it initially appeared. ᴅᴇ had thankfully had his wallet because he was now tempted to buy shit from this city. As ᴅᴇ was walking around, he saw a shop that said, "Yorimara's Yoki Blacksmith Shop. Holy fuck, it's a Yoki culture city." ᴅᴇ walked into the blacksmith shop and politely asked if he could buy a sword. The blacksmith smiled in an unnervingly inhuman way, but he was polite. A beautiful and ethereal-looking sword made of what looked to be a strong type of bone but stronger than steel was presented to ᴅᴇᴟᴟ. Suddenly a gruff dog yokai Quirk welder man spoke to the blacksmith behind ᴅᴇ. "This is a powerful wolf dog 괰ᴄᴟ pup, with a fuckton of okami yoki energy, and since he got the 괰ᴄ eyes as a wolf or wolf dog 괰ᴄᴟ, is very 괰ᴄ blood thick by default. Don't give this boy a flawed and frail wolf dog 괰ᴟ sword like that. Just because this Hanio is a freshling doesn't mean you can rig his chances to survive by giving him a pathetic blade like that." The blacksmith gulped nervously, but he brought out a smaller sword with a sky blue furred pommel and a very comfortable fitting handle to give to ᴅᴇ. The man asked what ᴅᴇ's name was. ᴅᴇ told him the truth, ᴅᴇᴟᴟ. However, the man said, "I mean your true Hanio name, kid. You're safe here. You don't have to hide your true wolf dog 괰ᴟ form or nature here in the city of Tani." Oh. ᴅᴇ had to think of something fast. Light. The dawn. ᴅᴇ stuttered in a polite voice towards this dog 괰ᴟ Quirk welder man. "Yokiasha, the dawn Hanio." The man smiled warmly and said, "ᴅᴇᴟᴟ aka Yokiasha, you know it's a honor to see such a open and proud dog 괰ᴟ with a quirk in your class. Hayasha, I mean. Like clearly Shudo Todoroki is a dog 괰ᴟ quirk welder boy, but you can't replace the original deal. It's beautiful how 괰ᴟ and Hanio quirks can exist in this era of quirks in Japanese history. Because it tells me that Yoki culture around the world is accepted and honored by men. Especially with Himiko Toga being so honest about her own nature whenever she shed her human disguise form after her quirk awakening for the first time and her quest for immortality, which is indeed quite possible for a girl who has so much Inu Yoki energy, and a quirk to boot. ᴅᴇ thanked this man for helping him, and ᴅᴇ paid the blacksmith for this cool new sword with some cash. ᴅᴇ put his new sword in its scabbard on his hip and awkwardly walked out. God. Genuine 괰ᴟ and Hanio people exist. Why, there's fucking quirks based on their own Yoki bullshit and Yoki mental health safeguards. ᴅᴇ better keep his mouth shut about this shit. ᴅᴇ named his new sword ᴠᴅᴜ. ᴅᴇ shrugged and figured, if dog Hanio quirks have mental health safeguards to actually fucking eat people, then wolf dog Hanio quirks have such mental health safeguards too. ᴅᴇ saw a rampaging spider 괰ᴟ probably terrorizing some people. ᴅᴇ immediately flew at supersonic speeds towards the person and ripped open their spider bodies with ᴠᴅᴜ and ate the heart from it. ᴅᴇ felt a small power boost from this shit. The people cheered wildly. ᴅᴇ went on a benevolent rampage to stop Yoki thugs and villainous people and ate them all. 5 hours later. 8 a.m. Shit! ᴅᴇ is late for school. ᴅᴇ immediately warped into his classroom and immediately regretted it because he was wearing his red robes of the fire rat, covered in blood, holding a beautiful but bloody sword, and was in his Yokiasha/wolf dog 괰ᴟ Hanio form that's immune to transformation straining. Everyone else except for Himiko Hachibi, Heito Nensho, and Aizawa Sensei was screaming. Aizawa-sensei asked if Hyuga was hurt. Hyuga spoke with a slightly horrified voice towards the class. It's not my blood, the city of Tani. I don't know what came over me, forgive me. Hyuga tried warping away, but Aizawa-sensei immediately erased his laser force quirk, forcing him to be in his true human form and kept him from leaving. Hyuga put the ᴠᴇ sword in his scabbard and on reflex licked his blood-covered lips to taste the coppery liquid that came from his victims. Before anyone realized what was going on, Himiko Hachibi got up and walked to Hyuga and kissed him on the cheek. Hyuga blushed deeply. Hyuga was half-tempted to return the kiss. 10-99! It's a 10-99, remember? Himiko Hachibi is fucking off limits. Aizawa-sensei deactivated his quirk and told Himiko Hachibi to back up and return to her seat. Aizawa-sensei escorted Hyuga Oyama out to get cleaned up in the UA infirmary. Himiko POV. Yes, the first murder spree. That's such a beautiful thing for a kid who was a blood-based quirk welder, a Deyokai quirk welder, or a Hanayo quirk welder, and in Hyuga-kun's case, a wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo quirk welder kid. You can tell that Hyuga-kun was tempted to return the kiss before he became such a shy gentleman. So many cute people in Himiko's class, especially when they're covered in beautiful blood or beat up. Like everyone in Class 1.A is so supportive and helpful towards Himiko. Like Cat-kun called Himiko Bloody Princess Badass all the time, which is very flattering. Katsuki POV. Katsuki's quick awakened bullshit is absolutely bizarre. Like there's some things that make sense, like explosions on the feet as well as the hands, and telepath and telekinetic powers. But other things don't make sense. Like a wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo form, or a pure ash form that can fly, or warping quirk powers. For the past week, Katsuki had been in this new city, the same exact city as where Glitter Dumbass had been, the city of Tani. Being a wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo dumbass named 괡ᴅᴜᴟ, the smoke Hanayo, and causally eating Yoki villains and villainesses as a Yoki culture vigilante. So he would have be a undying Hanayo quirk welder kid like dog Hanayo dumbass, so if Katsuki ever gets kidnapped by bullshit again, he would be guaranteed to survive the ordeal. So long as Katsuki didn't reveal his wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo quirk powers, he could get away with this discreet bullshit. Like Katsuki didn't feel guilt about killing a Yoki villain or villainess, because it was a dog-eat-dog world out there, and this kidnapping bullshit in Katsuki's life that only lasted for a single night proved that shit. No wonder why dog Hanayo dumbass preferred his Hayasha/dog Deyokai Hanayo form. If it was more powerful and comforting, like a weighted blanket. If Katsuki's 괡ᴅᴜᴟ/wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo form is any indication, Katsuki had learned that a rainbow light flooded from your body if you became a undying Hanayo or Deyokai quirk welder kid. A explosion/warping/telepath/ash/wolf-dog Deyokai Hanayo quirk welder kid is what Katsuki became. However, Katsuki absolutely hated the constant dehumanizing shit that Yoki culture actually unintentionally did towards the entire Nensho family and especially dog Hanayo dumbass. Like clearly, genuine Deyokai and Hanayo quirks are actually quite rare or beginning to emerge. Because everyone else in Yoki culture is straight up genuine Deyokai or Hanayo with quirks. Katsuki had asked some random Yoki extra what he thought about Deyokai and Hanayo quirks. And it was always, it's a good thing that humans embraced Yoki culture so much that they can become a Deyokai or Hanayo with a quirk for as long as they wanted. Like it's absolutely shocking that dog Hanayo dumbass didn't realize that he was interacting with a entirely different culture that's mostly inhuman creatures or part humans for years. Like no wonder why a Deyokai or Hanayo quirk madness is legit delusional bullshit into believing you're born a Deyokai or Hanayo with a quirk. Because that's what you actually turn into. In mind, body, and soul itself. Katsuki continued working on his schoolwork. Hyuga POV. Hyuga Oyama was now cleaned up and wearing a fresh Udata high school uniform as his red robes of the fire rat were being cleaned up by a washing machine. ᴜᴘ just wished for escape. ᴜᴘ's blue eyes widened in alarm as he saw glowing neon red pupils in his reflection, and he saw ᴚᴚ-sensei immediately straighten up. A dark and terrible brain fog engulfed ᴜᴘ's mind, overwhelming it. Thank you for letting go of the delusions of being human. ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟᴟ aka ᴡᴇʟᴟ. A wolf dog 괱ᴘᴛᴏ with a light/telepath/warping/laser/lightning/speedster quirk named Laser Force. That's very, 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 very wolf dog 괱ᴘ blood thick. Something within ᴜᴘ's soul started crying, but ᴜᴘ ignored the pathetic humanity in him. Shoulda Aizawa aka Eraserhead was so powerless currently. Aizawa remembered how scared ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ was about being caught in quirk madness bullshit in his Laser Force quirk right after he got his quirk awakening a week ago. ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ licked his lips in a very inhuman and canine manner and said, "You know, Hanyo can be made. It's difficult, but if a full human being is exposed to enough Yoki energy, they can become a Hanyo like what happened to me in the Beast Forest. Okami Yoki energy is something very powerful in me. I accept what happened to me, like a quirk awakening and a overexposure to Yoki energy made ᴡᴇʟᴟ. You can't purge all the humanity in me because I'm a Hanyo, born fully human. That's a beautiful thing, to be born human but change over time into something new, something inspiring." Aizawa-sensei thank God for the slightly lucid train of thought about the whole thing, because ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ wasn't born a wolf dog 괱ᴘ Hanyo quirk welder kid. ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ continued speaking. Today though, I just needed to escape from something. Why I was late today, I showed our class this conversation for Hayashi's sake anyways because being human is something beautiful not loathsome since he was a Daihanyo, and can turn into a full human being in nature too among other things. ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ walked to class. ᴜᴘ POV. ᴜᴘ was absolutely exhausted because he didn't get any sleep last night, and he waved hello to his classmates, but they looked so crestfallen despite ᴜᴘ's attempt to comfort Aizawa-sensei and the rest of the class. ᴜᴘ sat down on his seat as the class was completely bummed out. Hayasha looked particularly sad and upset. ᴜᴘ spoke telepathically to Hayasha in an awkward but soothing voice. "Hayasha, that powerful dog 괱ᴘ girl gave me the power to turn into a Hanyo, which probably saved my life from overexposure to Yoki energy and malice in the Beast Forest from my already frail naval laser quirk at the time." ᴜᴘ then added while speaking to everyone but mainly Hayasha telepathically. "Look, take from someone who was born human and frail. Humanity is something to be proud of, even if it's a little pathetic. Humans can be insufferable, annoying, pathetic, and irritatingly dishonorable. Things that you dislike, Hayasha, but humanity has good things too, like bravery, endurance, tenacity, and cunning, things you got from your human spirit and father Hayasha." ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ was stunned as Hayasha started crying and turned into his full human form. Hayasha said while crying bitterly and voice frail with emotion out loud, "How dare you be so proud of humanity, ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ, and yet deliver that speech through quirk-maddened eyes and mind? Since you can't be human right now, I will. You know I said something incredibly and eerily similar to Tamura Shigaraki during that fight in the Beast Forest. Katsuki Bakugo is my witness through telepathic powers." Katsuki Bakugo spoke with a raspy voice towards everyone. "Dog Hanyo dumbass is right, you know. Here's what he said back then. The only person that can dehumanize me is myself, Tamura Shigaraki. I absolutely hate my dipshit father, but here's the good thing that I inherited, his ability to endure. That came from my humanity. The humanity of my powers and dog 괱ᴘ Hanyo form came from Yenjei Todoroki aka Endeavor. Now I will destroy you like a man. You should have seen it. The mask of fire, the prominence burn, the Bakuseiga sword coming to dog Hanyo dumbass, and especially the flames becoming white effortlessly instead of being blue." ᴜᴘ-ᴟᴟ saw Aizawa-sensei in the doorway, listening to everyone talking. Aizawa-sensei cracked a somber smile whenever he heard about what Hayasha told Tamura Shigaraki. Hayasha turned his head away while crying still. Hayasha spoke with an irritated, bitter and hollow voice that was heartbreaking towards Aizawa-sensei. "What's the matter? Do you like the fact that I'm a human hypocrite like my dipshit father? I hate humans, especially the humanity in me because I am fully human. I wish I was a fucking animal with a quirk or something similar to justify my own hatred towards humans, but I'm tragically not, you know. I can't change what I am, can't run away from it like I did for 3 years during my quirk madness, and I especially can't believe the delusion of my own quirk's bullshit while fucking sane, sir. Hayasha added with a much more broken and sad voice towards Aizawa-sensei. I wish I could be what my quirk believed I was. There's nothing good about me and my humanity, sir. But here's the thing, I will be human, because one kid can't be right now. I'll hate it, trust me, but at least all of my keen senses are intact ever since I beat my new moon weakness permanently so I wouldn't feel so exposed and weak. Hayasha was immediately hugged by Shudo Todoroki, who got up and walked to Hayasha to hug him. Aizawa POV. What a fucking heartbreaking speech, ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. What's the matter? Do you like the fact that I'm a human hypocrite like my dipshit father? I hate humans, especially the humanity in me because I am fully human. I wish I was a fucking animal with a quirk or something similar to justify my own hatred towards humans, but I'm tragically not, you know. I can't change what I am, can't run away from it like I did for 3 years during my quirk madness, and I especially can't believe the delusion of my own quirk's bullshit while fucking sane, sir. I wish I could be what my quirk believed I was. There's nothing good about me and my humanity, sir. But here's the thing, I will be human, because one kid can't be right now. I'll hate it, trust me, but at least all of my keen senses are intact ever since I beat my new moon weakness permanently so I wouldn't feel so exposed and weak. Thank God that hound dog could hear that, because ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ fucking screamed that shit so loud everyone in the school could hear it. Hound dog has his work cut out for him because good God, the name of the mental health condition that ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ had was now known. Quirk madness presenting impulsivity problems. Or QMPAP, for short. Legally sane but mentally ill. Like someone being diagnosed with clinical depression, for example. Rio POV. God. Every single person heard that blow up from ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. ᴘᴏ hound dog hated this shit. Because QMPAP is always something that comes from not completing the quirk madness destroying conditions fully, but that the full quirk madness destroying conditions of the Hayasha quirk madness was 2 things. 1. Embrace the entirety of your quirk's bullshit without shame. 2. Embrace the entirety of your human nature and stop hating yourself because you're fully human. Polite knocking. Rio told this person, come in. Ms. Ayashi-Nensho spoke with a somber voice towards Rio. Hound dog, now you know the truth about the matter. I didn't have a name for it, but I knew that the Hayasha quirk madness was still alive, technically, but that's why I gave ᴑᴇʟᴟ to ᴘᴘ. Because ᴑᴇʟᴟ is a sword made of my own dog ᴱᴘᴑ Fong and my non-human dog ᴱᴘᴑ form that's immune to transformation straining, of course, that's wired to protect humans with a honest heart, and to embrace the entirety of your humanity inside of you. My quirk madness in my Inu no Ayashi quirk was 15 years long, and that's because I had to do 4 things to break quirk madness down in my life. 1. Gain genuine compassion for humanity. 2. Learn the frailty of humans and embrace these people for who they were. 3. Embrace the entirety of your quirk's powers without shame. 4. Embrace the entirety of your human nature and stop being self-loathing because you're fully human. The first 2 things was what Keseki needs to do in order to successfully break quirk madness in his Inu no Senso quirk without QMPIP. The last 2 things is what ᴘᴘ needed to learn to fully get past his Hayasha quirk madness and QMPIP bullcrap. Rio Inia hound dog. Why I gave Keseki-Nensho, my older son Tensiga, a powerful healing sword that can only heal people from harm. But ᴑᴇʟᴟ was given to ᴘᴘ because you must protect humans with a honest heart, which ᴘᴘ is. Definitely honest about his character and the pains of his heart. I will have to give ᴑᴇʟᴟ to ᴘᴘ officially by severing its connection to me and binding it to ᴘᴘ, which will take time. Ms. Ayashi-Nensho left Rio's mind completely. Keseki POV. ᴄᴏ aka ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ was standing on a skyscraper overlooking ᴅᴇᴜᴜ city in his true humanoid dog ᴱᴜᴜ form while wearing his typical clothes and armor that was inspired by ᴊᴅᴜ, the character from the InuYasha anime and manga from 200 years ago. ᴊᴜᴜ sighed awkwardly as he warped into the woods. ᴊᴜᴜ was walking around the woods near the Yoki city of Tsukumura in northernmost Japan. ᴊᴜᴜ saw a human child, about 7 or 8 years old, but she was clearly abandoned and dying from multiple wounds from living in the woods for some time. A girl with red eyes, white hair and a single horn on her head. ᴊᴜᴜ swung ᴛᴏ to fully restore this girl from certain death. This is why ᴊᴜᴜ disliked humans. They're too frail to exist practically. However, that's to be embraced honestly. Major glass-shattering noises in ᴊᴜᴜ's mind. Dark and dreadful fog lifting up permanently. ᴊᴜᴜ is human. A dog ᴱᴜᴜ/ boiling water / warping / telepath / strength enhancing / speedster Quirk man. The girl woke up just as ᴊᴜᴜ put his ᴛᴏ away in its scabbard on his hip. The girl asked who ᴊᴜᴜ was. ᴊᴜᴜ told this little girl in an elegant voice. I am ᴊᴜᴜ aka ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ, a dog ᴱᴜᴜ / boiling water / warping / telepath / strength enhancing / speedster Quirk man. Humans are so frail. I saved you from dying, little pup. This is why I had no compassion for humanity. Because it was humanity that left a child to fend for herself without supervision or something similar. What's your name, young one? The little girl spoke with a thankful but slightly terrified voice. I know you, ᴊᴏ. I heard about how you fought against the League of Villains during the Beast Forest to save your brother Hayasha. Don't take me back to the bad crow man overhaul. I escaped from him on my own, but he's looking for me. My name is ᴘᴜᴜ. That's it. ᴊᴜᴜ will protect ᴘᴜᴜ from any and all humans that tried to fucking kidnap her or something similar. ᴊᴜᴜ told ᴘᴜᴜ. I will protect you from harm, ᴘᴜᴜ. However, the woods are dangerous for a child. I will carry you with me. However, I need another to help me protect you, and I know just the person. Let me call him. ᴊᴜᴜ whistled sharply and shouted. ģīᴜᴜ. ᴜᴘ-ᴛᴏ calls upon you to serve. Sure enough, a little imp ᴱᴜᴜ with a warping / water quirk appeared beside ᴊᴜᴜ, and he immediately bowed in politeness towards ᴊᴜᴜ and he said, Master ᴛᴏ. It's been many years since I've been called to be of service. I'm so glad to see the quirk maddened red pupils to be gone. Who's the human girl? ᴊᴜᴜ did brief introductions for ᴘᴜᴜ and ģīᴜᴜ. ᴊᴜᴜ told ģīᴜᴜ and ᴘᴜᴜ to hold on to his white inamoko that wrapped around his left shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him several feet. After everyone was holding the inamoko tight, ᴊᴜᴜ flew away for about a mile before warping away to ᴅᴜᴜᴜ city. ᴊᴜᴜ still vastly preferred to not be human but rather a dog ᴱᴜᴜ because at least dog ᴱᴜᴜ with quirks are honest folk unlike most humans. ⴚ Eri absolutely adored the InuYasha manga and anime. Like ᴊᴏ looks exactly like ᴊᴅᴜ to the point it wasn't a coincidence with the clothes that ᴊᴏ was wearing. ᴊᴏ-san, ģīᴜᴜ-san, and Eri herself were in the big city and Eri was in tattered white clothes and barefoot, but ᴊᴏ-san told ģīᴜᴜ-san to go with Eri to get some new clothes while he waited outside. ᴱᴜ ᴛᴏ was in his loathsome true human form, which thankfully looked less and less like ⴜᴜᴜ clone. The longer ᴱᴜ was alive. ᴱᴜ twitched his human ears nervously as he heard his name being called to the principal's office. ᴱᴜ got up and walked through the UA hallways to Principal Niza's office. ᴱᴜ awkwardly sat down across from Principal Niza in a chair. Principal Niza spoke with a friendly voice towards ᴱᴜ. You know, we both have been mistreated and abused by unworthy humans, but that didn't mean that all humans are bad. Listen, ᴱᴜ-ᴛᴏ, you are a very good human kid. Like you use your telepath communication powers to comfort your classmates, and you even tried to talk to Katsuki Bakugo while he was kidnapped by the League of Villains. A noble, honest, and insightful human being. You know humanity may be frail, hypocritical, and disappointing at times, but you are nothing like Endeavor's bad traits, inheriting all the good of your father with none of the bad. Your mother is human too, and she obviously gave you all the good things without much of the bad. Most of your quirk's powers came from your mother, and thus naturally you would embrace it, but you can't just run away from your father's side anymore, ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. Your father should probably give you something important like a heirloom, like what your mother was giving you in the form of the Deku sword. Even though ᴡᴇ is fucking trying so hard to be comforting, it wasn't working. ᴘᴘ spoke with a respectful but sharpened voice. Look, you have a great reason and a perfect justification for hating humans and humanity as a whole. You're not human, you're a rat with a quirk. I'm not any of those things that you said I was, not noble, not honest, and not very insightful, because if I was, we wouldn't be talking right now, ᴡᴇ. ᴡᴇ interrupted and said to ᴘᴘ, maybe you should see through someone else's eyes about your actions and qualities. ᴡᴇ further explained, there's such things as sleep memory in quirks. Sleep memory is a quirk's way to actually record its thoughts about its human welder. Sleep memory can be recorded by technology now. Do you want to find out what your own quirk thinks about you? Dumbass Todoroki face intensifying. ᴘᴘ nodded yes, because what the fuck was sleep memory? And it's like worth a shot. ᴘᴘ twitched his human ears nervously as he had to put on some type of helmet, and Niza told ᴘᴘ to close his eyes and relax. After a few minutes of absolute silence, ᴘᴘ heard a teenage boy voice. I wish my human will talk to me. I'm a subconscious communication quirk, like all ᴱᴇ or Hanayo quirks have. All I wanted was to stop the self-inflicted quirk side tramua in my human, but now there's a new problem that I don't know how to solve, a hatred towards humanity and especially in my human welder's own self. I can't be in charge anymore because I already got beaten once and a quirk can't be quirk madden twice. Niza looked so shocked to hear that the Hayasha quirk was a subconscious communication quirk. Whatever the hell that means. ᴘᴘ's helmet was taken off by Niza and Niza told him. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ, since you have a subconscious communication quirk, you can speak with your quirk organically without technology. All you need to do is think or say Hayasha, the quirk I want to talk. Go ahead and go to somewhere quiet and conversate with your own quirk to learn more about yourself, ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. ᴘᴘ awkwardly warped away to a cave in the forest nearby the Yoki city of Tani. ᴘᴘ spoke telepathically towards Hayasha, the quirk. Hayasha, speak to me. A excited and relaxed teenage boy's voice spoke telepathically towards ᴘᴘ. You know what you should do? You should enjoy the small things of being human and sane now. Like, I am quite flattered that you love me so much nowadays, but come on, you have to go find good in your sane human mind, ᴘᴘ. You know what would be really exciting? If you have a romantic side quest with someone in the city of Tani. If you do the hormones while in your Hayasha/dog ᴱᴇ Hanayo form that's immune to transformation straining, you can have a genuine dog ᴱᴇ Hanayo. With a quirk as a child. Like, why should our dipshit father be the only one to misbehave here? Like he's a asshole, but so long as you tell people that this was just a fling and they were cool with it, you can have multiple flings without the commitment of a significant other unless you want that kind of thing. You know what? That's a great idea, because after all the bullshit that ᴘᴘ went through, he needs a fucking vacation day. ᴘᴘ turned into his Hayasha/dog ᴱᴇ Hanayo form and warped into downtown Tani City. ᴘᴘ saw a beautiful black-haired girl with yellow eyes that was a wolf dog ᴱᴇ quirk welder girl. There's minor differences in a regular dog ᴱᴇ and a wolf dog ᴱᴇ in their Humania ᴱᴇ forms that's immune to transformation straining, with a turquoise blue inamoko that wrapped around her shoulders like a cape, and she was wearing some really nice yoki armor and robes. ᴘᴘ politely bowed towards this girl whenever he walked towards her and asked her if she wanted a casual fling with him in a very awkward manner. The wolf dog ᴱᴇ quirk welder girl spoke fondly. What a honor to be the first love of ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ aka Hayasha. I know you are quite oblivious to yoki politics, but you are very powerful and rare as a daihanyō, so you are more than worthy of being my companion for a few hours in bliss. A person such as you will almost certainly have a ᴱᴇ-eyed pup if you have fun with me. My name is Komuri no Okami. I'm a /warping/berserker/hardening quirk welder girl, among other things. ᴘᴘ and Komuri no Okami flew away together to this gorgeous house that had many servants and vassals. ᴘᴘ and ᴅᴘ-ᴛᴏ entered the house, and they went to the bedroom and laid down on the bed together, and immediately started getting naked to have the romantic side west. Thankfully ᴅᴘ-ᴛᴏ had condoms and ᴘᴘ had a bunch of protected fun. 3 p.m. Everyone else was told about the new dormitories, called Heights Alliance. Everyone will be moving there tomorrow morning. ᴅᴇᴜᴜᴜ was at home, and wearing his red robes of the fire rat in his true ᴅᴇᴜᴜ/wolf dog 괰ᴜ form and eating a raw ribeye steak as his human parents looked so sad for some reason. Apparently ᴅᴇ's parents heard about his speech to his classmates and teacher, and they were proud but really sad about it. ᴅᴇ finished eating and he threw the bone in the trash. ᴅᴇ walked into his room and he saw his reflection in the mirror. Shaggy gold hair that went down to the waist, clawed hands, elongated fangs, elfin ears, a small sky blue ᴛᴏ that wrapped around his left shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him to his knees, really beautiful yellow eyes like a wolf but with red pupils because he was a ᴠᴅᴜᴛᴏ, and a gold wolf tail that went down to his ankles. ᴅᴇ armed himself with his ᴠᴅᴜᴜ sword and warped away to the Yoki city of Tani. ᴅᴇᴜᴜᴜ aka ᴠᴅᴜᴜ was sniffing the ground and running around on his fours like a madman. Thankfully no one batted an eye to ᴅᴇ's crap. ᴅᴇ stood up and he saw some thugs brutally fighting against some people who were trying to run away. ᴅᴇ immediately pulled out his sword and killed the thugs and villainous people and ate them. 12 hours later. 3 a.m. ᴅᴇ had been carving a bloody rampage of benevolence for hours and into the night. ᴅᴇ was covered in blood, but he was honestly not scared because everyone else was cheering and guiding ᴅᴇ to more thugs because he was being a Yoki pro hero in training, as these people called it. However, ᴅᴇ was so exhausted from fighting against people all day and night. ᴅᴇ warped back home. ᴅᴇ put his red robes of the fire rat in the washing machine, and he hopped in the shower to clean up. Mrs. Aoyama POV. Son. My beautiful and powerful son. My husband and I couldn't sleep whenever they knew that their own son was rampaging somewhere and destroying so many people's lives and their families, but couldn't be punished for it because ᴅᴇ was ᴠᴅᴜᴜ. ᴅᴇ. I failed you. I told you that being a quirk welder was more valuable than quirklessness. Made you vulnerable to a supervillain that gave you your quirk, but now you got a quirk awakening in it, and got ᴠᴅᴜᴜ by your laser force quirk ᴅᴇ. I cried in my husband's arms. ᴘᴜ POV. ᴘᴜ was in his true loathsome human form and in his room watching the stars and the city lights. ᴅᴜᴜᴜ was a fun girl to hang out with and lose his virginity to. It was weird because ᴘᴜ felt a dopamine hit whenever he did the deed with a girl for the first time. Like he satisfied a quirk instinct. Be fertile instincts and natures. ᴘᴜ's MOM has these quirk instincts because she's a progenitor quirk welder woman. Nice, now ᴘᴜ never had to worry about sexually transmitted diseases because if you have be fertile instincts and natures in your quirk's bullshit, you're immune to sexually transmitted diseases. ᴘᴜ got up and walked to his desk. ᴘᴜ saw his medicines and remembered that he had yet to give Izuku Midoriya his new innate quirk. ᴘᴜ better bring his medicine shit to Heights Alliance whenever he moved there tomorrow. However, it's time. The multiple quirks era has begun. ᴘᴜ can hold up to 8 quirks total, and since the first time he used this medicine on himself, it fused permanently to the original Hayasha quirk, ᴘᴜ still has the ability to make 7 artificial quirks for himself. ᴘᴜ plucked a hair from his head and mixed it up with Midoriya, and created the glowing neon green medicine in a syringe, and he injected it into his arm. Immediately after ᴘᴜ Nensho injected the glowing medicine into his arm, he threw away the needle and felt new power in his body. ᴘᴜ felt awareness of what he gained. 1. My human morphology abilities immune to transformation straining, the ability to change hair color, eye color, height, weight, and other human body parameters, immune to transformation straining due to being a artificial quirk that matches your mind, body and soul permanently. 2. Sleep-inducing dust generation, think Midnight's innate quirk. 3. binding tendrils of dark red energy that is unbreakable and nigh indestructible. ᴱᴱ will call it Red Whip. 4. All the powers and abilities of a diamond gem. ᴱᴱ had no idea what the fuck that meant. With the soul summoned weapon of a axe, the soul axe summoning shit is really cool. Obviously, whatever diamond gem shit is must be like a massive part of this new second quirk. A new quirk name is necessary. Hayasha and Red Diamond, the quirks. ᴱᴚ-ᴛᴏ slowly went to bed because it was so late. 3 hours later. 6 a.m. ᴱᴚ was peacefully sleeping in his bed. The Diamond Authority dream. ᴱᴚ was in some sort of beautiful palace made of marble and limestone that was like hyper-futuristic and made for giants. A beautiful and ethereal-looking lady that looked identical to White Diamond, the character from Steven Universe, the American TV show from 200 years ago, was sitting on a glamorous white throne. The woman introduced herself in a formal and respectful voice towards ᴱᴚ. My name is Diane Burkhart, aka White Diamond. Obviously, I had to project this meeting with you to the rest of Earth because you are royalty in gem society and culture. Red Diamond, correct? Whenever a diamond gem quirk welder manifested their soul weapon, they were officially a diamond. You know that show Steven Universe from 200 years ago. Well, you see, ᴱᴚ-ᴛᴏ is it all the quirks of the Burkhart family and their society are based on this show. My white diamond quirk madness was absolutely awful. For years I was the insane tyrant that had to be stopped. A diamond gem quirk welder is ageless, unkillable and immortal, and some people in America believe that. The Diamond Authority is a bunch of gods and goddesses, but that couldn't be further from the truth. ᴱᴚ-ᴛᴏ aka Hayasha/Red Diamond, you are a emperor in gem society. If you want to put it in Japanese standards of historical terminology, you are the fifth diamond ᴱᴚ-ᴛᴏ. This is too weird to be real. ᴱᴚ asked Ms. Diane Burkhart. Ma'am, what powers do I have in my quirk? Something beyond the surface levels anyways. Diane Burkhart spoke with a formal and professional voice towards ᴱᴚ. You have the power to transform into any type of gem quirk welder and it be immune to transformation straining, fuse with people, summon a soul weapon/gem weapon, and command any type of Burkhart family technology without effort, and this was just the baseline diamond gem abilities. The rest of your quirk's powers are unknown and unique to you. Clearly you have a two-stage manifesting quirk since you have a combined version of your parents' quirks at the first stage of your Hayasha quirk's power. Suddenly ᴱᴚ's mom appeared beside him, and she was wearing some really cool yoki armor and robes. Ms. Diane Burkhart spoke with a respectful and polite voice towards ᴱᴚ's mom. It's not every day that a diamond gem quirk welder is discovered, Ms. ᴛᴏ. Obviously this was a quirk mutation in your son, Ms. ᴛᴏ. Don't worry, the Burkhart family technology has advanced many years ago to make gem colonies without destroying a planet because I'm no barbarian and my mother taught me all about conservation and ecological science stuff, so I have an appreciation for all types of wildlife. Do you have any questions, Ms. ᴛᴏ? ᴱᴚ's mom spoke with a formal and professional voice towards Ms. Diane Burkhart. I saw your package for ᴱᴚ and it's a giant oval rock, but I don't know what it was, and every time I tried to activate it it kept saying for Red Diamond only. What is that? Also, Ms. Diane Burkhart, obviously you are indeed what you say you are because the world is watching your spaceships and people come flocking to Earth and especially Japan to set up some type of celebration in a hasty manner because it's clear that you just discovered ᴱᴚ's rank and status. Ms. Diane Burkhart spoke with a friendly and formal voice towards ᴱᴚ's mom. Well, to answer your question, that is a pearl gem quirk welder boy in his gemstone. Pearl gems are the best advisors and greatest allies of a diamond. Unfortunately, all pearl gem quirk welders are born/created quirk maddened, and especially when they were a diamond pearl gem quirk welder like the Red Diamond Pearl Gem Quirk Welder Boy. The Diamond Authority dream end. ᴱᴚ woke up from his sleep in a cold sweat. ᴱᴚ saw bizarre ships that were flying above ᴡᴜ city with banners that said, "Hail Red Diamond!" or "Long live Red Diamond!" ᴱᴚ blushed deeply as he got dressed in his Yue high school uniform and walked into the kitchen as there was a big shiny oval rock in a clamshell-shaped box. Suddenly a red light scanned ᴰᴱ from the rock. The rock floated in the air and formed into a cool dude. The dude was wearing a UA high school uniform, but there was red diamond patches on his elbows. The dude had shaggy dark red hair that went down to his shoulders, dark red-orange skin like burning charcoal, turquoise blue eyes. He was built like a skinny and graceful dancer, had a pointed nose, and his pearl gemstone was on his forehead. The teenage dude did some bizarre salute that made a diamond from his hands and arms while saying, "My diamond, I cannot be shattered or corrupted by any means, so I am quite powerful and immortal. I am your personal pearl." Obviously this ᴅᴇ'ʟ dude needs a fucking name. ᴰᴱ spoke with a awkward voice towards his pearl gem. "For now on, your name is ᴅᴇᴜ. It means gem in Japanese, and I hope that you can get better from your quirk madness soon." ᴰᴱ opened a portal to go to school and he walked through it, and ᴅᴇᴜ followed. Everyone else in the student body was either very confused or very jealous as ᴰᴱ walked through the hallways to get to class 1.A, as everyone in class was completely stunned. Denki Kaminari bowed in politeness towards ᴰᴱ and said, "Since you're a government official ᴰᴱ Nensho, can I have diplomatic immunity to do all kinds of bullshit?" ᴅᴇᴜ spoke with a irritated but formal voice towards ᴰᴱ. "My diamond, is this human bothering you?" ᴰᴱ spoke with a awkward as hell voice towards ᴅᴇᴜ. "No, ᴅᴇᴜ, this is my, friend, like you." ᴅᴇᴜ looked slightly confused, like he wasn't expecting ᴰᴱ to be so casual about stuff. There's two people that ᴰᴱ had to be human for, even though he absolutely hated it. Yuga Aoyama and ᴅᴇᴜ. Shuto was awkwardly sitting in his desk and asked ᴰᴱ, "What will you do now, ᴰᴱ?" ᴰᴱ told Shuto in a awkward and raspy voice. "I don't know, half-brother Shuto. Like it's bizarre how I was a part of a empire now. Like I always liked Steven Universe, the American TV show, but I would have never imagined that I would be a part of Quirk Welders, that their own Quirk's bullcrap was based on that show. I don't know what kind of diamond I would be. I'm afraid I'll abuse that power. Especially since I hate most humans and gem Quirk Welders are most definitely human." ᴰᴱ went to sit in his seat as ᴅᴇᴜ followed him and stood beside him. 5 p.m. Yuga Aoyama aka Yokyasha was in his true wolf dog de yokai hanayo form as he scratched his arm with one of his clawed hands as he saw his new dorm room in Heights Alliance. Yuga saw his reflection in his dorm room mirror. Shaggy gold hair that went down to the waist, clawed hands, elongated fangs, elfin ears, a small sky blue inumoko that wrapped around his left shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him to his knees, really beautiful yellow eyes like a wolf but with red pupils because he was a ᴅᴇ'ʟ hanayo, and a gold wolf tail that went down to his ankles. Yuga armed himself with the Okamikiba sword. Yuga took off his UA high school uniform and put on his red robes of the fire rat and walked away to the Yoki city of Tani. Yuga was walking around barefooted because hanayo didn't need shoes. Yuga went apes hit again to become a beautiful, undying wolf dog de yokai hanayo by eating some villainous Yoki people. Katsuki POV. Katsuki Bakuga aka Ķemiriasha was in his wolf dog de yokai hanayo form. Ash blonde hair that went down to Katsuki's waist, clawed hands, elongated fangs instead of regular canine teeth, pointed wolf-like ears on top of his head, yellow eyes like a wolf, and a red-furred inumoko that wrapped around his right shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him several feet. Katsuki was in the Yoki city of Tani and he was eating some villainous chumps, but he saw the profoundly more apes hit, and ᴅᴇ'ʟ glittered dumbass in his wolf dog de yokai hanayo form that's immune to transformations straining in the distance. Katsuki focused on his own fights with villains. Izuku POV. Izuku Midoriya aka Deku was in his dorm room in Heights Alliance after the school day. Izuku felt so powerless, like he was quirkless again. ᴰᴱ Nensho aka Hayasha told Izuku about the gift that his friend, Renkin Tenkamaru, would give Izuku, but he had to be asleep for this particular gift to be given because no fucking prophecy bullshit. Izuku turned off his lights in his room and fell asleep slowly. 5 hours later. 10 p.m. Izuku Midoriya was still sleeping in his dorm room. The gift dream. Izuku was standing in front of a frizzy red-haired girl with blood-red eyes wearing a tie-dyed shirt and pants with paint stains on her legs in a misty and dark landscape. Izuku suddenly felt a sting in his right arm like something was injected into his arm, but he didn't see anything. Izuku then felt new power in his bones similar to one for all, but it was perfectly compatible with his body, unlike his OFA quirk that destroyed his bones whenever he used all of the power. The girl spoke with a cryptic and mysterious voice towards Izuku. I have to go, but please understand that you were a chosen one, Izuku Midoriya. Many prophecy quirk welders have been prophesying about you for many years since the dawn of quirks 200 years ago now. Call me Renkin. Renkin then disappeared from Izuku's dream. The gift dream end. Izuku immediately woke up from his sleep and he saw a fresh band-aid on his right arm like he had a small cut there. Izuku suddenly remembered that ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ was a medical prodigy and had great medical science that was taught to him by Renkin Tenkumaru. This girl clearly did medical shit to Izuku. Izuku looked at his scarred and banged up arms. Suddenly Izuku felt like he had a mental download of certain abilities and a quirk. 1. A beautiful humanoid and non-human dog yokai transformations immune to transformation straining. 2. Telepathic communication and telekinetic powers that can lift cars with the mind. 3. Warping quirk powers, to anywhere that Izuku had been prior or anywhere that Izuku had a good mental visual of. 4. Permanent quirk duplication or the ability to copy a quirk, a far more powerful version of Nito Monoma's copy quirk because the copy lasts permanently. 5. Fire generation/manipulation quirk abilities, to the same exact level as Endeavor of all people. 6. Supersonic running and flight abilities. Izuku wrote down what he got in his mind as a list of quirk abilities in a new notebook. Izuku imagined turning into a dog yokai. Izuku saw his body transform into a dog yokai quirk welder kid's appearance. Izuku had his green-black hair grow down to his waist, clawed hands, elongated fangs instead of regular canine teeth, yellow eyes like a dog, elfin ears, dark red tattoo markings called ᴜᴜ markings on his face, arms and legs, and a cool inumoko that wrapped around his left shoulder and armpit and trailed behind him several feet, and it was a beautiful purple in color. Izuku warped away to the same rooftop that he first met All Might. Izuku flew away and he started crying tears of joy as he was flying for the first time in his life. Izuku was flying above ᴡᴜ city in a leisurely manner. Telepathic knocking. Come in. A respectful and polite teenage boy's voice spoke telepathically towards Izuku. My name is Jiui. I'm a flea yokai with a fire/telepath/warping quirk. All dog yokai need a ally and you're not a exception. What's your name? Izuku saw a small human being in the fur of his purple inumoko with 4 arms and he was about the same size as a fingernail. Izuku told Goai his true name. Jiui told Izuku in a polite voice. Fascinating, a genuine dog yokai quirk welder kid. Those people are very powerful and rare. However, you must have a more regal and appropriate yokai culture name. Inu no Teo is a good name to call yourself. Izuku told Jiui in a thankful voice. That's really cool. Dog of the Sun is a cool thing to call yourself. Thanks for giving me a yokai culture name. Can you please guide me to some cool yokai culture hangout, Jiui? Izuku followed the directions of Goai, the flea yokai quirk welder kid, to some cool yokai culture place. 12 a.m. ᴡᴇ'ʟ Tokoemi was in his dark room and unable to sleep. ᴡᴇ'ʟ blinked his eyes slowly, and whenever he opened his eyes again he saw a beautiful frizzy red-haired girl with red eyes that was wearing a tie-dyed shirt and pants with paint on it in front of him. ᴡᴇ'ʟ told his guest in a polite voice. I have been expecting you for some time now, young lady Renkin. Thank you for helping my classmates with your mysterious prophecies and medical science. Renkin bowed towards ᴡᴇ'ʟ in absolute respect and reverence towards him and said, You may not be a prophecy quirk welder kid yourself, but your foreshadowing instincts and natures in your dark shadow quirk is so powerful, ᴡᴇ'ʟ Tokoemi. You must become Karasen no Yurei or the Raven of Ghosts once again. You can't just rely on the sentient force of your dark shadow quirk to fight against opponents. You are a undying raven 괰ᴅ with a shadow/warping/berserker hardening/strength enhancing/speedster/ghost/telepath Quirk. I know that you feigned lack of control over your dark shadow Quirk in the night, but you can't do that anymore because the people that weaponized and dehumanized you were coming to Japan soon. The Whitewater family shitshow that's legally insane into believing they're Greek gods and goddesses with immortality and incredible power to back up their delusions and existed since the dawn of Quirks 200 years ago. To the Whitewater family shitshow, ᴡᴇ'ʟ was the child of Hades, and the first one after the river Styx oath thing between Zeus, Poseidon and Hades was nullified whenever Percy Jackson, yes, that Percy Jackson, fulfilled the prophecy as a 16-year-old boy. ᴡᴇ'ʟ used to be Barry Angel, and was actually 170 years old and knew Percy Jackson and his friends whenever they were adults, of course. ᴡᴇ'ʟ gained a apex quirk awakening that gave him the ability to fucking escape from the Whitewater family shitshow as a 20-year-old chronologically and made his quirk a sentient quirk like what happened to all raven 괰ᴅ that got a apex quirk. ᴡᴇ'ʟ told Renkin that he appreciated the warning. Renkin then warped away from ᴡᴇ'ʟ's room. ᴡᴇ'ʟ gulped nervously, but he was prepared for the Whitewater family appearing in his life again. ᴡᴇ'ʟ walked over to a black wooden box and pulled out his sword made of sticks and iron, and he shrank it down to be a black ring that he wore on his right index finger. ᴡᴇ'ʟ turned into his true and non-human raven 괰ᴅ form, which was a giant raven the size of a human being with glowing red eyes. ᴡᴇ'ʟ warped away to feel the power of the night in his bones and Karase Yoki energy. 3 a.m. Ḥeito Nensho aka Hayasha was peacefully sleeping in his dorm room in Heights Alliance. The honor of Red Diamond Dream. Ḥeito was sitting on a throne that was blood red in color in some large and opulent citadel building. Ḥeito Nensho saw a bunch of people with gemstones on their bodies wearing some uniforms, dresses or suits with red diamond-shaped symbols on them standing assembled before Ḥeito. Ḥeito saw Hozeki, his personal diamond pearl gem quirk welder kid friend wearing his UA high school uniform with red diamonds on the elbows standing beside Ḥeito. Ḥeito saw that there was male gems as well as female gems, which was a key difference between Steven Universe, the American TV show, and the real people whose quirks are inspired by this American TV show. Ḥeito saw one dude who was roughly Ḥeito's age in appearance, and he had an ocean jasper gem on his left shoulder, and he was wearing a black uniform with a red diamond on his chest, and he stepped forward and asked Ḥeito, "As a diamond gem, it's understandable how you distrust and borderline hate humans as a far superior gem compared to those humans, but I must ask you, Red Diamond, when did you start your loathing for humans? Surely you have a reason why you started this attitude." Bold. Ḥeito spoke with a formal voice towards this ocean jasper gem quirk welder kid. "Humans are so hypocritical, and that included me, which I hated about myself. I have honor, most humans do not. However, to answer your question, I will start at the beginning." Ḥeito closed his eyes and created a huge image of two figures made of smoke and showed a silent movie of betrayal after betrayal that shitty humans done to Ḥeito, starting with his cruel mistreatment by Endeavor Fuckwad, to the betrayal of Luke Castle in America, who stabbed Ḥeito in the back like with a knife. A cascade of images of smoke that showed so much pain and agony that Ḥeito endured danced in silence as several people started crying, and especially Hozeki, the red diamond pearl. Ḥeito waved his hand and all the smoke images melted into nothing, and he told his ocean jasper gem quirk welder kid servant, "Does that work as a explainable cause for my hatred towards most humans, my bold servant?" The honor of Red Diamond Dream End. Ḥeito woke up abruptly in his dorm room. Ḥeito realized that he had a telepath connection and he cut it off. Ḥeito heard a muffled knock on his door. Ḥeito got up from his bed and he answered it, and it was Aizawa-sensei, and he said, "Who the fuck actually stabbed you as a child who was literally quirk maddened in America at the time? The entire planet saw the honor of Red Diamond Dream, and it was so powerful and heartbreaking whenever you dumped literally everything you could think of in those haunting and disturbing images made of smoke." Ḥeito spoke with a rough and hollow voice towards Aizawa-sensei. His name was Luke Castle, and he immediately got murdered by me whenever he betrayed me to my enemies that were trying to weaponize my ridiculous powerful quirk. In America I was known as Ash Archer or by the vigilante identity of Tracker. Ḥeito was stunned by Aizawa-sensei immediately hugging him briefly before letting go. Aizawa POV. Vigilante sickness isn't a fucking joke. Vigilante sickness is a mental health condition that Ḥeito Nensho clearly fucking had. Also, what the fuck endeavor? It was clear that you were physically abusive towards Ḥeito Nensho in those haunting smoke images, or at least that's how Ḥeito Nensho interpreted your abusiveness in his subconscious. This was a telepath quirk slip that revealed Ḥeito Nensho's dream from Ḥeito Nensho himself. Remember that Ḥeito Nensho had a warping quirk among other things, and it's definitely possible for a Japanese warper kid to literally have American associations. Izuku POV. Izuku Midoriya aka Deku/Inu no Teo was in his humanoid dog day yokai form that's immune to transformations, training in a yoki blacksmith shop with Goai, Izuku's new flea yokai quirk welder kid friend. Izuku thanked the yoki blacksmith for supplying him with cool yoki armor that was dark green in color, and a dog day yokai Fang Naginata spear that can shrink down to a pen form, and it was enchanted to always return to Izuku's pocket. Izuku paid for the armor and weapon, and he warped his new yoki armor breastplate, shoulder guards, knee guards and armored boots to his dorm room in Heights Alliance. Izuku told Goai that he had to go back to school. Goai warped away in a portal made of flames. Izuku warped away to his dorm room in Heights Alliance, and he immediately flopped on his bed after he turned into his true human form. Izuku saw his new yoki armor in his closet, and he slowly fell asleep. 5 a.m. Everyone else in Yue High School believes that the beast of Yue High was either Ḥeito Nensho, Himiko Hachibi, or Yuga Oyama, but they couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually Izuku Midoriya. Like, this kid is a juggernaut in terms of sheer determination. Not to mention the fact that Izuku Midoriya had so much pain tolerance it was fucking insane. Hantashiro aka Cellophane is literally just a dude compared to Izuku Midoriya. Hantashiro got up from his bed and got dressed and cleaned up to start the day. Izuku POV. The terror of the beast's dream. Izuku saw himself, in his humanoid Inu no Teo form, walking around Yue High School as he heard terrified whispering about Izuku. He's a beast. Izuku Midoriya is one scary dude. Obviously Midoriya got a quirk awakening that turned him into a monster. The terror of the beast's dream end. Izuku immediately woke up from his dream and he got dressed and cleaned up for the day. Izuku walked out to the Class 1 Commons room, and everyone else was hanging out and goofing off except for Ḥeito Nensho, who had some sort of futuristic computer, and he was typing on it. Izuku saw Hozeki, the red diamond pearl gem quirk welder kid, standing beside Ḥeito Nensho, who was in his true human form. Izuku told everyone, "I'm actually not sure how I know this, but I think that I had a quirk awakening last night." Everyone else was immediately on high alert, and especially Aizawa-sensei whenever they heard that from Izuku. Izuku then told everyone about his dream. Aizawa-sensei told Izuku, "Let's go to Recovery Girl to analyze your blood to see if you did indeed have a quirk awakening or some type of two-stage manifesting quirk." Izuku awkwardly walked alongside Aizawa-sensei as they headed to Recovery Girl's office. 7 a.m. Izuku Midoriya aka Deku/Inu no Teo was now in his classroom with a new registration in terms of his quirk's powers. A strength-enhancing /telepath/warping/speedster/dog day yokai/fire/permanent quirk duplication quirk. Izuku already got permanent copies of all of his classmates' quirks, but he already knew that the rest of Yue High School was whispering in fear and calling Izuku the dog of quirks. Copy for all. Kid AFO. However, Izuku was most thrown off by quirk instincts, because he was quirkless at birth, and Ofa didn't have any quirk instincts in it because it was a transferable quirk. The Inu no Teo quirk had quirk instincts in it. Izuku learned very quickly how to discreetly touch people to get the cool copy of a quirk without them even realizing that Izuku copied their quirk's powers. Or maybe it was some type of instinctive power to be subtle. However, Izuku had to resist the euphoria of legit playing with quirks and had to restrain himself from calling a quirk, a toy, out loud. The official backstory behind Izuku's multiple quirks was a two-stage manifesting quirk. Changing the subject. It's a good thing that Izuku's MOM was one of the most intelligent quirk specialist pharmacists in Japanese history thus far about quirks. To Izuku's MOM, Izuku had a very rare, heteromorphic quirk that gave him a quirkless child's body, i.e., extra pinky toe joints, or a phantom quirk welder. Izuku's MOM created medicines for people for quirks. However, the darkest medicine that Izuku's MOM ever created was trigger. For 20 years, Izuku's MOM had been tirelessly searching for a anti-trigger medicine which would reverse the effects of trigger. Izuku projected his last thoughts to people. Aizawa POV. Changing the subject. It's a good thing that my MOM was one of the most intelligent quirk specialist pharmacists in Japanese history thus far about quirks. To my MOM, I had a very rare, heteromorphic quirk that gave me a quirkless child's body, i.e., extra pinky toe joints, or a phantom quirk welder. My MOM created medicines for people for quirks. However, the darkest medicine that my MOM ever created was trigger. For 20 years, my MOM had been tirelessly searching for a anti-trigger medicine which would reverse the effects of trigger. Yeah, ᴜᴜ was absolutely terrified of angry Dr. ᴜᴇ'ʟ. Because of your mother's unintentionally dark and dreadful reputation, Izuku Midoriya. Like Dr. ᴜᴇ'ʟ may have a frail telepath quirk, but good God, did she invoke fear, even in the most cold-hearted villains that Aizawa came across because of her medical intellectual powers. Like this was a lady that managed to reverse engineer the nomification medical process with a basic grasp of human anatomy and quirks. In your mother's humble opinion, Izuku Midoriya. Like forget about Ujiko for a hot minute and talk about the very controversial move of creating ᴂᴅᴜ from your mother, Izuku Midoriya. ᴂᴅᴜ is a NOMU with sapientance separate from his own nomification programming with a cloud/warping quirk called Cloud Gate. Obviously, ᴂᴅᴜ was created with ethics, i.e., a body that was donated to scientific research in a legal manner, but it was still fucking horrifying for all of the people that were scared of your mother, Izuku Midoriya. Aizawa's thoughts were immediately projected to the world by Heito Nensho. Aizawa scolded his class for using their telepath powers. Inko POV. ᴜᴇ'ʟ Midoriya used to be a vigilante girl whenever she was little. ᴜᴇ'ʟ was stunned whenever Izuku inherited a 괱ᴅᴇ quirk, because Inko's apex quirk is a 괱ᴅᴇ quirk. However, instead of a dog 괱ᴅᴇ quirk, ᴜᴇ'ʟ had a wolf-dog 괱ᴅᴇ quirk among other things. Inko's apex quirk called telepath legally was a telepath/warping/berserker/hardening/OMMI human morphology/healing/cloning/wolf-dog 괱ᴅᴇ quirk. Inko's apex quirk's true name is Okami no Midori. ᴜᴇ'ʟ is a undying wolf-dog 괱ᴅᴇ quirk welder woman who was actually 195 years old chronologically, but she was 20 years old biologically, like she was whenever she became immortal. The Okami no Midori quirk madness was terrible. The Okami no Midori quirk madness was 30 years long, and ᴜᴇ'ʟ was indeed slightly delusional into believing she was a wolf-dog 괱ᴅᴇ with a quirk at birth, and it was a miracle that ᴜᴇ'ʟ didn't have a illegitimate child in Yoki culture during her 30-year-long quirk madness. Like ᴜᴇ'ʟ gained weight due to stress, but she was still muscular and very strong. You must be wondering, how on earth can a woman not know that she had children, since pregnancy exists for ladies? Well, if you have my human morphology abilities from apex quirk awakening, you can change your biological gender into a man, and since it was apex quirk awakening ability, these transformations were immune to transformation straining. Changing the subject. Okami no Midori is the Yoki lord of northern Japan. Okami no Midori had disappeared for 20 years, but she will appear soon. Let's just say that ᴜᴇ'ʟ is certainly aware of this lady's movements, and she informed ᴚᴇᴜ of her plans to come out of hiding. ᴚᴇᴜ projected her last thoughts to people. Aizawa POV. Jesus Christ. That's one way to reveal the fact that you got a quirk awakening Dr. ᴚᴇᴜ. All Dr. ᴚᴇᴜ told people was the fact that some Yoki Lord was coming out of hiding. Okami no Midori. Or the Green Wolf in Japanese. Heito Nensho spoke telepathically towards Aizawa. Okami no Midori is incredibly powerful, a great healer that created a Yoki culture medicine called Elder Root. Okami no Midori is definitely a Yoki culture pro-heroine that went into hiding to meditate on her sins for years before I was born. Okami no Midori is old, being 195 years. Izuku Midoriya looked so guilty, which is true. All the accumulated trauma of having to see your son constantly breaking his bones clearly caught up with Dr. Inko Midoriya. Inko POV. Inko turned into her humanoid wolf dog /Okami no Midori form. Inko had clawed hands, elongated fangs instead of regular canine teeth, dark green hair that went down to her knees, yellow eyes like a wolf, elfin ears, dark red inu markings on her face, arms, and legs, and a beautiful purple inomoka like a cape that trailed behind her several feet, and it split in half whenever it reached her tailbone. Inko swiftly put on her dark purple Yoki armor breastplate, and shoulder guards and white Yoki robes that were identical to Inu no Teisho, the character from Inuyasha the manga and anime, but the armor was purple instead of gray that fit her more chubby body now. Inko's hair was tied in a ponytail. Inko swiftly warped away to the city of Tani while projecting her point of view to all the TVs in Japan, and everyone in Tani was cheering in JOY whenever they recognized the robust and powerful Okami Yoki energy from Inko's Okami no Midori's form and Inko's appearance despite the awkwardness of her weight being heavier. ᴚᴇᴜ spoke with an elegant and ethereally sharp voice towards the crowd. My friend decided to introduce myself to the wider global society today, and of course I'm a lady of my word. Forgive me for neglecting my Yoki Lord duties for so long, but I needed the time for my son to grow up in his strength as a teenager now. Yes, I am a mother, but that happened during my days of meditations. ᴚᴇᴜ then added with an awkward voice towards the crowd. I know that I have heard rumors about Quirk man-inspired pups for many years now during my 30-year-long Quirk madness in my Okami no Midori Quirk, over a century ago, but as far as I know, the only kiddo I have was the teenage boy that I raised for the last 15 years now. The older people awkwardly giggled in joy whenever they heard that awkward confession from Inko. Inko saw a wave of quiet knowing ripple through the faces of the older people in the crowd. Inko made a clone of herself and told her clone to stay with the city of Tani. Inko cut the telepath feed to the world. Inko swiftly warped away from the city of Tani to her apartment. Inko turned into her true human form again, and she took off her Yoki armor and robes. Inko put her Yoki armor and robes back in her closet as she wore her regular clothes underneath the Yoki stuff. Go IPOV. So Yoki culture learned 4 things very quickly about Okami no Midori. 1. The human disguise form's identity that's immune to transformation straining of Okami no Midori is Dr. ᴚᴇᴜ Midoriya. 2. Izuku Midoriya aka Inu no Teio-ai. Jiui's new friend was born a dog yokai with a quirk that just recently shed his human disguise form skin to manifest his Inu Yoki energy and true humanoid dog yokai form. 3. The suspicions of Yoki culture were correct about how Okami no Midori didn't know about the possibilities of being the second mother of illegitimate pups during her 30-year-old quirk madness crap. 4. Okami no Midori believed that she only had one pup, but she knew the rumors of Yoki culture, so it told people that despite being in hiding, Dr. ᴚᴇᴜ Midori aka Okami no Midori kept tabs on her domains. However, Okami no Midori had numerous pups, full wolf dog or dog yokai and wolf dog Hanayo pups that she was the second biological mother of. The oldest child of Okami no Midori is Sesomaru, named after the Inuyasha manga character, and he was a full wolf dog yokai. Like none of the Okami no Midori pups, felt resentment for the fact that their heroic and powerful wolf dog yokai second mother abandoned them because of Quirk madness shit clouding the mind. And if ᴠᴇ'ʟ knew she had pups from her Quirk madness days, she would immediately claim them and give them parental love. Like ᴊᴜ should introduce himself to ᴠᴇ'ʟ at least. Immediately after Jiuyi thought that ᴊᴜ himself projected Goai's thoughts to all of Yoki culture except for ᴠᴇ'ʟ. Izuku POV. It was clear that Izuku's MOM was ᴠᴇ'ʟ, because she was iconic, even in her true human form, and the body type didn't magically change between ᴠᴇ'ᴟ and ᴠᴇ'ᴟ. Apparently Heito Nensho got something from telepathic communication powers because he looked like he heard something in private. However, good God, Izuku's MOM is old. Like, no offense, but 195 years old is a long time to live. Also, 30 years of Quirk madness was heartbreaking to know about MOM. Izuku projected his thoughts to people, and for good reasons too. Aizawa-sensei immediately scolded Izuku for using his telepath powers in class. Izuku awkwardly continued writing his notes. 3 p.m. Izuku Midoriya aka Deku/Inu no Teo was in his dorm room in Heights Alliance. Izuku was sitting on his bed and playing with his Inu no Teo Quirk's powers. Delighted, laughing. Who would have thought that playing with quirks would be good and so fun? Izuku saw his reflection in his mirror on the wall, and he was scared by the manic gleam in his eyes. Izuku stopped the quirk play as he saw the scary gleam in his eyes disappear, which was a big relief for Izuku. Izuku turned into his humanoid dog yokai form that's immune to transformation straining. Izuku warped away to the city of Tani, and he was walking around the city, discreetly copying everyone's quirks that he came across. Izuku was smiling cheerfully as he felt like he scratched ⴟ whenever he permanently duplicated quirks for himself. As Izuku was walking around the city of Tani, he saw a cool 19 or 20-year-old dude with a dog yokai quirk, or maybe a dog yokai quirk, fly down and landed in front of Izuku. The dude had clawed hands, elongated fangs instead of regular canine teeth, dark blue inu markings on his face and arms, elven ears, yellow eyes like a dog, dark green hair and a ponytail that went down to his waist, and he had a deep and beautiful purple inumoko that wrapped around his right shoulder and armpit, and trailed behind him several feet like Izuku's in his humanoid dog yokai form. The dude was wearing a black yoki armor breastplate over some cool sky blue robes, and he had black armored boots. The dude introduced himself in a polite and quiet voice towards Izuku. "Hello there, Izuku Midoriya aka Inu no Teo. My name is ᴊᴜ, named after the Inuyasha manga character because my first MOM is a nerd like that. You see, my father was actually a lady that shapeshifted into a masculine form with my human morphology abilities, and my second mother didn't know that the condom broke, so I had to watch my second mother from a distance while she did her benevolent and incredible feats in our culture, Japanese Yoki culture, before she went into hiding. However, enough of me. What is Dr. ᴠᴇ'ᴟ Midoriya aka ᴠᴇ'ᴟ like as a mother to you, Izuku Midoriya?" Izuku sat down on the ground like a dog, and ᴊᴜ chuckled, and Izuku told ᴊᴜ, "Well, my MOM is such a good person and good MOM since my dad abandoned me whenever I was a infant. However, I didn't know that my MOM was 195 years old chronologically, that powerful as a wolf dog yokai quirk welder lady among other things. And I especially didn't know that my MOM was a Yoki culture pro heroine in her heyday until this morning. Like, both of your moms seem to be genuinely good people, but don't you feel bitter about being a bastard kid and abandoned even though it was unintentional?" ᴊᴜ spoke with a friendly and slightly somber voice towards Izuku. "I used to be embittered with my second mother's lack of awareness of my own existence, but prophecy quirk welders have told me and my half-siblings that share the same exact second mother as me that my second mother will claim all of her quirk madden-sired pups and legitimate them all as a part of the elegant Midori family tree, Izuku Midoriya." Izuku's jaw dropped whenever ᴊᴜ said that about his second MOM. 30 years is a very long time to have mistakes happen, MOM. Izuku projected this shit from ᴊᴜ, i.e., Izuku's half-brother. Inko POV. Meeting ᴊᴜ. Forgive ᴄᴟ, but she is a lady who needed proof of such claims even though it was clear that ᴊᴅᴅ definitely has ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ traits that could only be inherited by ᴄᴟ's bio children. Like people don't know how rare purple ᴛᴏ are. 4. A wolf dog 괱ᴟ Quirk welder. Like white or red ᴛᴏ, very commonplace for wolf dog 괱ᴟ Quirk welders, but not purple, and especially not the deep royal purple that ᴄᴟ had in her ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ form. ᴄᴟ projected her thoughts to people. ᴜᴘ POV. Of course, I would claim such children if they had solid and biological proof that they were my children, because it wasn't their fault for being the result of a Quirk maiden progenitor Quirk welder lady like myself at the time of their birth. See, this is the key differences between ᴜᴘ's dad and ᴜᴘ's mom. Even though they are both pro-heroic people that have a lot of bastards popping up. 1. ᴜᴘ's mom just needed proof for such claims, not because she's a asshole, but she was a lady of medical science, and would accept these ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ bastards without hesitation regardless of how fucked up these people are. 2. ᴜᴘ's mom was fucking Quirk maiden for 3 fucking decades and could barely control her impulses during those days. 3. ᴜᴘ's mom readily admitted her own shenanigans whenever she did her reintroduction as ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ, even though she didn't know that she actually had fucking bastard kids to begin with. ᴜᴘ's thoughts were immediately projected to the world by ᴰᴜ while nodding in agreement with ᴜᴘ's shit. ᴊᴅᴅ POV. Yeah, being the first OMMI human morphology Quirk welder woman among other things due to a apex Quirk awakening in the ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ Quirk of ᴊᴅᴅ's second mother definitely qualified for being a progenitor Quirk welder lady for the time she was born in as a first-generation Quirk welder. There's a lot of OMMI human morphology Quirk welders out there, and that came from ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics. Because it's actually fucking impossible for a person to have these powers in their Quirk's bullcrap from any other source. Except for ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ being your ancestor. Like Yoki culture across the globe have seen ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ mannerisms in the world's human genome that can only come from this one undying wolf dog 괱ᴟ. Like besides a OMMI human morphology Quirk, there was other things to catalog ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics in a person. 1. All trickster Quirk welders with ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics have blonde hair. 2. All wolf shape-shifting Quirk welders have ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics because the first wolf shape-shifting Quirk welder man is a son of ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ. 3. All temporary Quirk copying Quirks come from ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics because the first temporary Quirk copying Quirk welder kid is a grandson of ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ. 4. All dog transformation Quirk welders with ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics have gray eyes. More shit. Like global Yoki culture had to catalog ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ genetics because she's a Yoki lord of northern Japan. The closest thing to fucking royalty that you can be in Yoki culture. ᴊᴅᴅ projected his thoughts to people, and for damn good reason. ᴛᴏ POV. Oh dear God. Over the years, whenever ᴄᴟ got sane, she had very few flings. But ᴄᴟ always donned the physical appearance of some male pro-hero or celebrity. Because it was unoriginal disguises and it was a joke to poke fun of assholes or dipshits that deserved the shame of a ruined image. Feral laughter from Izuku in ᴛᴏ's mind. Like ᴄᴟ had 3 flings, while under the guise of endeavor so far because he was the biggest asshole ᴄᴟ ever seen in her entire life thus far. Feral laughter intensifying from Izuku. Like ᴄᴟ wished that she known about philander endeavor before Heito Nensho revealed himself at the sports festival, because she would have been constantly having fun with ladies and gentlemen in that form over the years as harmless adult fun. Feral child wheezing from Izuku. Izuku projected ᴛᴏ's thoughts to people while laughing. ᴜᴘ POV. God shoulda wished Dr. ᴄᴟ Midoriya aka ᴠᴅ-ᴛᴏ-ᴅᴜ got out more, just to fuck with ᴜᴘ's dad with philanderer fake endeavor shit. Like it's like fine whenever you're a fucking bachelor/bachelorette to have flings, like Dr. ᴄᴟ Midoriya. Not okay if you are fucking around, literally while you're fucking married especially, Shuto's thoughts were immediately projected to the world by Ḥedo while nodding in agreement. Ray POV. Luckily, all OMMI human morphology quirk welders like Dr. ᴍᴇᴏ have a small tell in their transformed shapes to tell you this person is transformed. Like ladies and gentlemen that saw ᴍᴇᴜᴜ endeavor as physically attractive, please have fun with Dr. ᴍᴇᴜᴜ in this fake endeavor form instead of soiling yourselves with asshole germs. Ray projected her thoughts to people. Izuku POV. Izuku bid his half-brother Sesshomaru goodbye and warped away to his dorm room in Heights Alliance. Izuku turned into his true human form and walked into the Class 1 Commons room as he sat down beside Todoroki-kun and Nensho-kun and hung out with his friends. 4 p.m. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ aka Yokiasha was in his dorm room in Heights Alliance, and in his true wolf dog de yokai Hanayo form as he was laying down on his bed. ᴅᴇ closed his yellow eyes with quirk-maddened red pupils and slowly lowered his head to fall asleep. 5 hours later. 9 p.m. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ was peacefully sleeping in his bed. The darkness of Yokiasha dream. ᴅᴇ was sitting on a rooftop that was overlooking Mufasfia's city like a wolf or dog. ᴅᴇ saw himself, but it was like a clone, but his doppelganger had solid red eyes with dark blue vertical slits for pupils peering at him. A yokai berserker form. ᴅᴇ's doppelganger spoke with an elegant and ethereal voice towards ᴅᴇ. Do you know what you need to do to regain your humanity inside your head? ᴅᴇ told his doppelganger in a polite voice. Like I accepted what happened to me in turning into a wolf dog de yokai Hanayo with a quirk that's very, 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 very wolf dog de yokai blood thick. I was born human, yes, but I didn't lose all of my humanity. Humanity is naturally fragile but beautiful, even though it's slightly pathetic and irritatingly dishonorable at times. ᴅᴇ's doppelganger smiled warmly like he liked ᴅᴇ's answer to his question. ᴅᴇ's doppelganger spoke with a friendly voice towards ᴅᴇ. Do you remember right before you got quirk-maddened, what did you want most of all? Think carefully because it's important. ᴅᴇ thought about it hard. Escape. ᴅᴇ told his doppelganger in an awkward voice. I wanted to escape from something, but I don't know what it was. ᴅᴇ's doppelganger smiled brightly like he liked ᴅᴇ's answer to his question again. ᴅᴇ's doppelganger spoke with an elegant and ethereal voice towards ᴅᴇ. Yes, you wanted to escape from something for a while anyways. Before the Beast Forest, you wanted something cool and badass in your quirk that would never hurt you, something that I became with help obviously. All healthy Hanayo and de yokai quirks have their transformations immune to transformation straining. Your human mind buried right now is embracing the theater of the laser force quirk madness. The darkness of Yokiasha dream end. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ woke up from his sleep and he saw the clock which read it was bedtime already. ᴅᴇ put on his red robes of the fire rat, armed himself with his Okamikiba sword, and he warped away to the Yoki city of Tani to go apes hit against some thugs brutally. 12 a.m. ᴅᴇᴜᴟ aka Yokiasha was hypnotized by a fighting rhythm that he was doing in the city of Tani. Slash. Stab. Eat. Run. Repeat. ᴅᴇ licked the coppery liquid that was on his face, and he danced in a dark alleyway as the beauty of blood was boiling in his veins. Something in ᴅᴇ's heart started crying. ᴅᴇ decided to go to Nashibara City and he warped away to Nashibara City. ᴅᴇ saw some fountain in the middle of a park and he jumped in the water, and he washed the blood off his clothes and body. ᴅᴇ then shook his body and head dry like a canine whenever he stepped out of the fountain. ᴅᴇ felt like his blood was boiling with power and energy. ᴅᴇ then saw a bunch of cop cars driving up to where he was with their sirens on, and the cops pointed their guns at ᴅᴇ. ᴅᴇ snarled angrily at the cops. ᴅᴇ stood up straight. Gunshot. ᴅᴇ looked down to see his heart shot. Why? ᴅᴇ collapsed on the ground like a sack of potatoes, but he felt his body being healed up in incredibly fast rates. ᴅᴇ snarled angrily as he was on his fours like a rabid wolf, and he ran on his fours like a dog, and gunfire erupted and punctured ᴅᴇ's body as ᴅᴇ fucking mauled his attackers. ᴅᴇ was ripping cops' arms off their sockets, gouging out eyes, and other stuff that was making the cops far more hostile to ᴅᴇ. ᴜᴇ blasted lasers from his mouth as he was running at 40 or 50 miles per hour on his fours like a dog. ᴜᴇ then warped away to his dorm room in Heights Alliance. ᴜᴇ was back in his dorm room and bleeding from multiple gunshots, but he was healing at an incredible speed. But he took off all his clothes and crawled into the bathroom in his dorm room, and he turned on the bath. Himiko POV. Everyone else in Class 1.A was pissed off and awake by the news about ᴜᴇ-kun in Neshibura City. Heito-kun looked so angry, but he had a look in his turquoise blue eyes that was dark, like he was validated in his views about humanity yet again. Like ᴜᴇ-ᴟᴜ didn't even do anything to warrant such a violent reaction from the cops. You know what? Himiko Hachibi aka the Crimson Monarch was going to maul something. Before Himiko could warp away to Neshibura City, her shoulder was grabbed by a concerned Ochako-chan, and Ochako-chan said, "Himiko, I know that you're angry and understandably so, but you can't just kill everything that pissed you off." Awkward sigh. Himiko awkwardly thanked Ochako-chan for her advice, and she went to bed reluctantly. 3 a.m. Yuga Oyama was curled up in a ball in the bathroom, and he was wearing silk pajamas in his true wolf dog de yokai hanayo form. Yuga crawled out of the dorm bathroom, and he crawled underneath his bed and went to sleep. 7 hours later. 10 a.m. Yuga was peacefully sleeping underneath his bed. The imprisonment dream. Yuga was in some sort of dark and ominous prison, and he was chained to the ground with shackles on his wrists. Yuga growled like a dog whenever he saw some jailer with a single black beady eye on his face, and he was really huge. A Cyclops Quirk welder man. Yuga was in his true wolf dog de yokai hanayo/yokiasha form, and the jailer chuckled whenever he heard Yuga growling deeply. The Cyclops Quirk welder man spoke with a raspy and stony voice towards Yuga. "We are both monsters, you and I. No need for that growling, Yokiasha. Don't worry about your destiny. You are destined to be in my shitshow because the Whitewater family is coming to Japan." Whitewater family? Yuga stopped growling and he snapped his shackles free and tried to escape, but the bars of the prison were too strong to break. Yuga saw a bunch of purple smoke filling the prison cell that Yuga was in, and he fell down, and he was put to sleep. The imprisonment dream end. Yuga was woken up by Aizawa-sensei, who obviously moved Yuga's bed to access Yuga, who was underneath the bed. Yuga told Aizawa-sensei his bizarre dream. Aizawa-sensei immediately told Yuga that your dream was broadcasted to everyone from some anonymous source, probably that Cyclopes Quirk welder man. Oh. Yuga stood up and Aizawa-sensei walked out of the room while telling him to go to ฟู-Mikage Tokoemi, who knows something about the Whitewater family. After Aizawa-sensei left, Yuga shut the door and he got dressed in casual clothing. After he got dressed, Yuga walked out of his room and walked over to Tokoemi. Tokoemi looked so nervous, like he was bracing to be hit. Yuga awkwardly sat down beside Tokoemi and asked him what's wrong. Tokoemi replied with a somber voice towards Yuga and everyone else in the room. "The Whitewater family is responsible for traumatizing me and my childhood friends. The mad bouquet of darkness will fall upon Japan soon. Look, I'm chronologically 170 years old and my original name was Barry Angel, son of Hades." Dark shadow leaked out of Tokoemi to comfort its human welder while crying. Aizawa-sensei immediately asked if the Whitewater family was a supervillain family to Tokoemi. Tokoemi replied with a somber voice towards Aizawa-sensei. "No, sir. It's far worse than saying supervillainesses and supervillains because you can't punish delusional quirk-maddened insanity. These people genuinely believe that they were Greek gods and goddesses and have the power and immortality to validate their claims in their own quirk-maddened mindsets." Heito Nensho looked like he was hiding something, but he buried his head into his Burkhardt computer. Aizawa-sensei looked at Heito Nensho, but he didn't comment. Heito Nensho told Hozeki, his personal diamond pearl gem, to oversee the Red Diamond colony of Anakin. Hozeki warped away. Heito Nensho told everyone that he had to go. Heito Nensho warped away from the Class 1.A Commons room. Yuga felt so powerless against something like the Whitewater family shitshow. Yuga was awkwardly sitting beside Tokoemi, who was clearly very shell-shocked, like he was having flashbacks to whatever god-awful mistreatment he endured. A son of Hades. That's all ᴘᴇᴟ was to the Whitewater family shitshow. Dark Shadow, ᴘᴇᴟ's sentient quirk, looked so scared in its glowing yellow eyes. Dark Shadow, the quirk spoke to Yuga in a nervous voice. Whenever I was in charge in a quirk madness for 3 months, I spent that time trying to lash out aggressively towards the Whitewater family by using everything in my arsenal. I forced ᴡᴇʟᴟ to do some incredibly horrible things whenever I was in charge, which traumatized the Whitewater family because they believed that a malicious raven ghost possessed Barry Angel to force him to do wicked things to demigods, but I only got sentience because of the bullshit trauma that these insane people did to me and my welder. Dark Shadow went into ᴘᴇᴟ's body again as ᴘᴇᴟ looked so sad in his red eyes. Yuga awkwardly got up and walked to the kitchen and started cooking some food. 1 a.m. ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ aka Hayasha/Red Diamond was working in his dorm room in Heights Alliance with his Burkhart family computer, as he blinked slowly. In the next moment, ᴘᴘ wasn't alone as he smelled the familiar scent of paint and ink. ᴘᴘ turned around and saw Renkin Tenkimaru, his prophecy quirk welder friend with frizzy red hair and red eyes while wearing paint-splattered jeans and a black t-shirt. Renkin spoke with a somber voice towards ᴘᴘ. I bring a bad omen, ᴘᴘ-ᴛᴏ. I saw in my eyes a terror from America that's coming to haunt you. His name is Whitewater, a surname all too familiar to ᴘᴇᴟ ᴡᴇʟᴟ. I dash. Suddenly Aizawa-sensei opened the door to ᴘᴘ's room and told ᴘᴘ and Renkin to follow him. The entire class was in the Class 1.A Commons room and everyone was oohing whenever they saw Renkin Tenkimaru. Aizawa-sensei told Renkin, Now, explain your prophecy to me, because if it's a Whitewater family shitshow prophecy that's coming to haunt my students, I need to know about it. Renkin then sat down beside Himiko Hachibi and she said to the assembly of people, I saw a great knowledge, one that very few people know about, in the hands of a quirk-maddened Whitewater family member. His first name eluded me, but his quirk's name is Giatros, and he will believe that he was the first one to find this knowledge, and he will name it the knowledge of Asclepius after his father's quirk's name. However, a sane man with blue hair and green eyes like Okami no Midori in her true form found this really powerful knowledge of Asclepius as a boy, and he had 8 quirks total. His innate Ayashiyasha quirk and 7 artificial quirks that their names and powers escape me. The Ayashiyasha quirk welder man is indeed one of the Wolfdog de Yokai Hanayo quirk welder sons of Dr. ᴄᴟᴇᴏ Midoriya aka Okami no Midori, from a sane fling that Dr. ᴄᴟᴇᴏ Midoriya did under the disguise of endeavor. Remember that Dr. Midoriya confessed to having 3 flings, as ᴘᴘ's dipshit father, over the years as a sane lady. This Ayashiyasha quirk welder man is the result of one of those flings. Aizawa POV. Jesus Christ, this was fucking terrifying. There is medical science out there that can create artificial quirks. The last thing the world needs is a fucking quirk-maddened and actually delusional man or boy that would potentially weaponize this bullshit. Also, Dr. ᴄᴟᴇᴏ Midoriya aka Okami no Midori needs better condoms if they kept fucking breaking and having bastards. Aizawa's thoughts were immediately projected to the world by some mysterious man. Hello there. Who the fuck are you and why did you leak out clearly top secret information? A hoarse and somber man's voice spoke telepathically towards Aizawa. My innate quirk madness was horrible. Some things you can't hide. This is one of those things. Eraserhead. I'm 22 years old and my powers are vast and equally lonely, for I'm the first of my Ayashiyasha quirk type as the first soul manipulation/controlling quirk. A type of logic/rationalization quirk that matches your soul, but you can only manifest a soul manipulation/controlling quirk as a teenager, so I have far less experience with my powers than most people. Aizawa told this man. What on earth is your name? The Ayashiyasha quirk welder man spoke with a hoarse voice towards Aizawa. Iwari Tomodachi aka Ayashiyasha. Iwari Tomodachi then left Aizawa's mind completely.